Joining us live now is the political analyst and the professor at Curtin University, Prof Siracusa. Joe, so do you believe the policy has changed, and where does that leave Australia?
Good morning, Pete. Well, yeah, I think the policy is changing. The president has said last August, October, and then again that the United States would defend Taiwan. Of course, this would be news to most of the people in the armed forces. I mean, there are two things wrong with this, Pete. Number one is that's not the real policy. The real policy is to work with China up until the point that the Taiwanese declare independence, and they've been told not to do that by Washington in the past. Richard Nixon and Henry Kissinger got it right. The idea was to have better relations with Moscow and Beijing than they have with each other. And so what Biden has done is he's linked up Ukraine with Taiwan. He assumes one's going to act off the other, which isn't true. Look, the second thing is, and I saw some war games on Zoom in Washington, we can't win. There's no way to resupply American or allied troops or ships in that area, and the Chinese would take over Taiwan and then make it very clear to Taiwan's neighbors that there is no existential threat to them, which is true, and he can prove that because Taiwan's not in the United Nations anyway. And the war games, you'd be interested, Pete, that only two countries were coming to the aid of the United States. One was Japan. That's because its troops would have been hit by Chinese missiles, and the other one was Australia. So in the crunch, the United States could only count on Japan and Australia to defend Taiwan, which is not defensible because we can't win that war anyway. So in a sense, the president has moved the policy, and he ought to be very careful what he says next because the Chinese take it very seriously.
Well, and they're now, as you know, increasing their influence in the Pacific with not one but up to 10 island nations now within China's sights. Joe, how much is Australia's national security undermined if they were able to proceed with these security deals and up to 10? Oh, your cat's hungry again, Joe.
I don't know. She was asleep 10 minutes ago. Look, it's a significant advance for China because these islands are really the canary in the coal mine. Pete, they know. These islands know that in a showdown between Washington and Beijing, Beijing just might win this thing at the end of the day, and they have to deal with Beijing before too long in terms of trade. I mean, I think the island nations are placing a very strong bet each way on Beijing and Washington. And I think they're leaning towards Beijing because they know America can't win this one. And I think the Chinese are damn clever to steal a march on everybody. And while we're all looking in the wrong direction, they're setting up the house in that neck of the woods. So I think we're being played a little bit here. And of course, it's the same thing in the Caribbean. A lot of the Caribbean nations have done the Belt and Road deal with the Chinese, much to the chagrin of the United States. So, I think the Islanders are pretty good poker players. I haven't been to too many of these places, but I think they're very shrewd.
Well, the Chinese is definitely shrewd and masters of the long game, no doubt about that. They do that better than just about anybody. Joe, thanks. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay,